Welcome, I'm Naomi and I'm going to be showing my January wrap-up. I wasn't actually planning to do a monthly wrap-ups because I don't read so much in a month that it's not very interesting to make a monthly wrap-up. This month I read an extraordinary amount of books for me. I read a total of 8 books. It was such a good reading month. It had absolutely nothing to do with the new year, no new year resolutions or anything. I'm not trying to achieve my Goodreads goal or something. I was just really in the mood to read. So I did, and I finished 8 books. It's surreal for me because my average amount of books per month is like 2 or 3 for the most. 8 books. Let's jump into it. The first book is a reread of one of my favorite books. I went to Paris with my friend by train and she brought this book with her and I was like, oh, I'm gonna read along with you. So I did. And it is Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn. One of my favorite books, if not all-time favorite book. Rebel of the Sands is about Amani who lives in a tiny town called Dustwalk. She really wants to escape this town, not a very nice town, but she's got no way out of it. And she's about to get married off to her uncle. A foreigner comes into town. He brings along an army who is looking for him. They want to capture the foreigner. His name is Jin. And Jin has to flee the town. And Amani sees her opportunity to leave with him to go to the capital. It kind of takes up from there. There's so much more that happens in this book, but I will not spoil it. I just advise you to find out for yourself. This world is inspired by Western Arabian cultures. It's such a nice atmosphere to be in. This book contains unique myths, legends, magical powers, great cast of characters, luscious romance, and so much. It contains so much. And Alwyn's writing, this is actually her debut novel, and her writing is so unique. She has a very storytelling way of writing, and it's very nice and very lovely to read and be in her world. Highly recommended. 5 out of 5 stars. Love it. Next up is another reread for me. I reread a whole trilogy, back-to-back. Angelfall trilogy by Susan E. Or actually, I should say Penguin and the End of Days trilogy. But who even calls it that? It consists of Angelfall, World After, and End of Days. It is about Penguin, who lives in a post-apocalyptic world. It's kind of like a dystopian, I think. Kind of post-apocalyptic. Angels have invaded the world. They are very violent towards humans. The world has gone to so the streets are dominated by several groups of gangs who have taken over supermarkets and are terrorizing the streets and everything. So it's not a very nice world to be in, as there's also the danger of the angels. And when Penguin is going to move with her mother and her sister who's in a wheelchair, they stumble upon a group of angels who are attacking another angel. It's like 5 against 1 or something. And they are actually cutting off that angel's wings. So it's very cruel. Penguin's sister gets kidnapped, the mother runs away, and Penguin is left without her little sister. She is very devoted to find her sister back. The angel who has his wings cut off is dying on the floor. Penguin realizes that he's her only chance to find her sister. So she decides to save him, to help him heal, and they make a deal. They're going to find his wings and her sister. That's kind of how it takes off. This book consists of a lot of very disturbing things. If you have seen my makeup book tag, I have named a few of those things, like cannibalism, several demons, yeah, quite a few disturbing things. But it's also very action-packed. The action in this is very good. Romance, very good too. I mean, they know of each other that they are star-crossed, but the tension is there. It's very real. I also really like that Penryn doesn't have the state of mind. He has to save the world, but by teaming up with the angel, she kind of gets involved with the angel politics and realizes that there must be done something. So it's just very action-packed. It's such a good trilogy. I highly recommend it. 5 out of 5 stars. All 3 of the books. Love it. The next book I read this month is a new one, Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. Shadow and Bone is set in a fantasy world inspired by Russian architecture and culture and everything. Some people have magical powers, some don't. The ones with magical power are called Grisha. And Alina turns out to be a Grisha, but normally you find out you're a Grisha when you're very young, but Alina just found out at the beginning of this book. She finds out she has a great power actually, and she gets taken under the custody of the Darkling, who is ruling the Second Army, which is the army of Grisha, and she gets taken to a little palace to train and be. The power that she has is very special because the country is divided by a black fold. She could be the one to save the world and destroy the fold, and that's kind of how it kicks off, because everything is of course not what it seems, and it's intense. It gets pretty intense. I know I love the world, I love the magical system, I love this, I love the plot. What I don't like is romance. There's a love triangle in this book, and there's nothing wrong with love triangles, but I don't feel like it was very well executed in this one. I feel like if this book wasn't focused so much on romance, it would have been better. But still, highly enjoyable, really liked it. 3 out of 5 stars. Good read. Next up, again, a reread of a favorite of mine, Ramona Blue by Jilly Gagnon. I first listened to this on audiobook, so reading this for the second time in physical book was a whole other experience, and I loved it even more. Ramona Blue is about Ramona. In the beginning of the book, she has to say goodbye to her summer love Grace, who is leaving with her family after being on a vacation where Ramona lives. She goes back to all her jobs. She has a lot of jobs because she, her dad and her sister are living in a small trailer in a trailer park and aren't very rich. That's because Hurricane Katrina kind of washed away their properties and they were kind of left with nothing a few years ago. So since then they've been surviving on every penny they've got. So Ramona has a lot of jobs, and after her paper round, she finds out her youth best friend moved back into her town, Freddie. They kind of start to bond together. Meanwhile, she finds out her sister is pregnant and she feels very responsible for taking care of her sister. So she kind of says goodbye to all her future plans and decides to forever stay in the little town and just waste away working. So this book is kind of about Ramona finding herself mainly. She has identified herself as lesbian. She has come out as lesbian, but as the time goes on and she spends more and more time with Freddie, she finds out that she feels very safe and happy around him. And she gets confused, like, isn't she a lesbian? What is she? So that's one part of a journey, but also where is the future gonna go? I have the feeling Ramona is thinks very little of herself, and she doesn't think she deserves a future. Well, she really does, And this book is just beautiful journey of how Ramona develops, and the family dynamics are great. The romance is great. There are a lot of important things represented in this book. I mean, there's overall a lot of LGBT plus representation in this book. Freddie, the lead male character, is black, and there's also an issue addressed about the differences between black and white people, which is such an important scene. I cried reading it. It was so important and powerful. Also, a little thing that I think is kind of important as well. Ramona is very tall, and you kind of read about her struggles with that. One of my friends is very tall too, and I know she struggles with her height, and I felt like, knowing what you've seen of her, is that it is very well represented in this book, and I thought that was nice because it is a struggle, and to see that in book form, that is nice. I do acknowledge some of the flaws in this book, I guess you could say, because Ramona is dating Grace while she knows that Grace has a boyfriend back home, so that's a bit iffy. And Freddie does the first move when he knows she identifies as a lesbian. So those two things are a bit iffy. Like, beside that, it still is so very good and realistic, and it really addresses issues and deals with the struggles very well. So if you are opinionated about the synopsis, which I can understand, because it sounds like a lesbian is turned bisexual or lesbian is turned straight, like, could be taken as offensive for the lesbians, and I get it, but it's done so well in this book, and it's a very realistic journey to go through. So please read it. It's very good. 5 out of 5 stars. It will be my love forever and always. Next book I read was #famous by Jilly Gagnon. I listened to this on audiobook while puzzling. I love doing that, and I was in the middle of studying for a very difficult exam, and I needed a bit of a break. It was the perfect light read, no thinking involved, just listening and puzzling. #famous is kind of Alex from Target. Remember him? Kyle from a burger shop. Rachel posts a photo of Kyle, a crush, on Twitter. He becomes viral. They both kind of get wrapped up into the showbiz world, and their romance develops, and it's very cute. It was nothing special. The characters were nothing new. It was average. They overreacted a lot. It was over dramatic, very dramatic. I rolled my eyes a lot listening to this book, but I couldn't pause it, I couldn't stop it, so it was captivating, but so is almost every contemporary. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. And the last book I read this month was Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. I already gave my synopsis on Shadow and Bone. This is the second installment in the Grisha trilogy. I won't be saying much about Siege and Storm, because that be spoilers. But what I can say is that things get intense. Very intense. I enjoyed it again, highly enjoyed it. The beginning was action-packed, like, it goes down in the beginning, and in the ending scene, oh, that was good. That was good and intense. But the rest of it, majority of the book, nothing really happened, so it was a bit boring to me sometimes. So I don't know which one I enjoy more. Even though the action scenes were phenomenal, majority nothing happened. So I do really like the new characters that are introduced in this book, especially Sturmhond. He's my new baby. I love him. He's so funny and swoon worthy. I love him. I'm very excited to see more of him. I don't know if we'll see more of him in the final book, but I am excited. Again, I kind of felt like the romance was way too much in your face in this book. Even more than the last book. I think it's not a love triangle anymore. It's a love triangle. How do you call it? There are 4 people who kind of show their affection to the main character. And I don't really, it's so out of the sudden, I don't really get it. But nevertheless, I highly enjoyed it. I can't wait to find out how it will wrap up. Still, the world is fantastic. The magic system is phenomenal. This book left me breathless. 3 out of 5 stars. That was it for my January wrap up. What? I still can't believe I read 8 books. That's a lot for me. I just can't believe it. It was such a good month. Just one more minute. How do you do it? I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I gave you some inspirations to read, because I read quite a few very good books this month. If you liked the video, as always, I'd love to see your appreciation. Comment down below your favorite book you read this month. I think my favorite book this month, I mean, I read a lot of favorites, so I'm not picking, but just dump it all down below. I'm very excited to see it. Share if you have time to do, and subscribe if you want to see more of me. I can tell you I have quite a few exciting video ideas ahead of me. Join in on the fun. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!